quick check-in while I'm waiting the last 30 minutes of my laundry. It's been a long day, a good day, a little long day. Went out to town, ran a bunch of errands, got stuff for people. And I could not love it here more. I could not love this more. The only thing I think I would love more are two things, like being a mom and getting all the suspects on my suspects list for this cult caught and thrown in prison for years. And I don't mean a prison like the Matrix, you big douches. I mean like a cinder block prison cell with your new husband / cellmate, Bubba Joe, drinking toilet bowl wine. But third to those two things, I think I love living out here and working out here. I like my boss, I like the people I work with, I like what I do. I love this whole area, it's gorgeous. My boss just went out on his winter vacation, so he's gonna be gone for a couple months. He left myself and one other dude who's been here a lot longer and knows the ropes a lot more. He left us in charge of the barn, primarily him, but I'm like his second in command assistant. And nobody else is allowed in the barn but us for the winter. So I got special barn privileges to take care of the horses. So that's pretty cool. So one thing I just wanted to remark upon, I guess the bulk point of this video, it's just something that popped in my head. And it's going to be more along the lines of like addressing the elitist issue in my hometown, in Cape May on the island, which has always been, almost always, as far as I remember, been very much a beach town tourist destination. A lot of the locals there live off of the money they make during the summer. I personally think that we should start working on trying to create more of our own jobs for ourselves there and stop relying so much on the money that's brought in by tourism, because that makes us beholden to them and their nonsense behavior. And again, any local you ask who's grown up on the island will tell you, yeah, we get good tourists, but we get some really nasty ones. And unfortunately, when you live in a town, live and work in a town that, you know, most of the money coming in that's relied upon is coming from tourists, it sets this tone of like, you just have to bow and scrape and let them treat you like you're trash, because otherwise they won't give you their money, and then how do you eat over the winter? That's really a shitty situation to be in, or to set up a bunch of locals to be in. That's their hometown. That's where they live and work and grew up. Like, they shouldn't have to be doormats to a bunch of out-of-towners in order to make enough money to eat over the winter. So that's one thing I think we need to work on fixing, is setting it up so that we have more ways for locals down around my hometown to make money that doesn't rely on tourism, you know, year-round money. And so the other little issue it's not really a little issue, I think it's a major issue. I think a lot of people have probably had a thought similar to this at one point or another. It's to do with, you know, I'm all for progress. I really am. It's necessary. It's necessary to revamp, revitalize, make more efficient, step back, analyze, you know, cut out the cheffa. But it's also necessary to be careful that you're not losing good things, the good things you already had, and to go slow at a reasonable pace with the change so that you're not you know, messing things up worse, thinking that you found a better solution. So I think a good example of this, you know, and losing kind of our roots and our traditions to a bunch of really people coming in, they see a bunch of successful businesses and they have some money, they buy the business, and of course the people who built that business, you know, they're ready to retire, relax. They spent their lives building the business. When someone comes along and offers them a few $1,000,000, maybe 100 million, depending on how successful the business is, they're like, yeah, gimme. And I'm gonna piss off down to Florida or Hawaii or whatever and retire now. And I'm so happy for them. But some traditions are so worth keeping alive, and they keep a community bonded, and they remind us of our roots. And I feel like when you have these new waves of millionaires, billionaires, investors coming in and buying up businesses and property on this new hotspot location, there's more of a tone of just all we want to do is move ourselves into the shell you've already built and reap money from it as much as we can for as long as we can, and we don't care much how we run the whole thing. They don't necessarily run it with any heart, which I've found, I've seen, I've observed, typically will run a business out of business eventually. You kind of get a sense of this if anyone out there is a fan of the movie Waiting with Ryan Reynolds. I think it was like one of his first movies. When the chef in the movie talks about how the business started to suffer for a while, and it was just because, you know, it had lost its edge, it had lost its life, its humanity. Everybody was just so miserable and disgruntled that it just, you know, it put out all these negative vibes and affected the workplace. And then they came up with this game that all the employees play with each other that's kind of like a raunchy game. But it revitalized the workforce, which is really, that's the foundation of any business. Like, you need to be focused on nurturing the humanity of your business, because that's what really brings the magic when your employees are happy. They bring the good vibes. They're pleased to be at work every day. They got a big smile on their face. They're upbeat, and it just makes it a magical, happy place to be. And so and even if you have to sacrifice a few things for that, like, you go to that amazing secret beach getaway on that tropical island that only like a few people know about and you happen to hear about. It's not built up though. It's not like some pristine resort. It's like a bar hut on a beach with some hammocks and like a waterfall, but it's the most amazing place here, and everyone there is freaking happy because they got their own secret little hideaway place. Like, you know what I'm saying? So there's a magic there that's created by that good atmosphere that's created with treating people right and making people feel good. And when you try to regiment and restrict your employees too much, and you don't have a lot of heart in the way you run your business, that's eventually going to run the business out of business. No one's gonna want to be around a mopey, miserable atmosphere. They're not gonna want to go there to eat. If, everybody there is kind of just rushed, you can, even if they're like faking it because they want a good tip, you can kind of feel it still. The food will, like, if it's a restaurant, the food quality will decline. Just everybody will they'll be looking for other jobs and paying very little attention to the job that they have because they just can't wait to get out of it ASAP. If they love their job, they're gonna work hard at keeping it. They're gonna go the extra mile. Like, I want to keep this job. I love this job, So you really want to focus on the humanity aspect when you're running a business, any business. that's going to help your business flourish in the long run. If your employees love working for you, they're going to give you the extra mile, which can also go a long way towards helping you keep stuff afloat. And an example that sort of made me think of all this was after my dad passed back in 2012, and the island I come from, they have a local bar there called the Ugly Mug, which has all these mugs hanging from hooks from the ceiling, and each mug has the name of a local good old boy going generations back, all the dudes. And I think pretty much probably all the dudes on my dad's side of the family have a mug up on that ceiling. And the tradition is that if the mouth of the mug is facing inland, then that person is still alive. If the mouth of the mug has been turned to face seaward, then that person has passed. And this really rooted that business and that establishment in the community. It was a hub of socializing. It brought all the working class men and peoples together. You know, my dad and all his friends, and I'm pretty sure his dad, you know, they all went to that bar generations. And they kept that tradition alive for a long time. And again, recently, a lot of the businesses on my hometown island are just being bought up by random millionaires, billionaires, business partners. They see a successful business and they want to, they want that long-term passive income. But all they know is the money aspect. All they know is how to squeeze pennies out of here and there, and they're not thinking about the magic aspect and the humanity aspect. And so they end up just reaping as much as they can in terms of money, and then they leave a drained, dried up husk of a business that's just nobody trusts it anymore, nobody likes it anymore, and there goes all those traditions and memories. I understand that this is life and passing of time, but if we could just not be so freaking quick about it, because it does seem like it's happening on my hometown, like fast over the last 10 to 15 years or so. Just all the businesses are not, you know, it's a lot of the same, it's a lot of the businesses have the same names, they sell the same stuff, so on and so forth, but different owners. And so, you know, after my dad died back in 2012, my sisters and I went into the Ugly Mug and took someone aside, manager aside, and said, yeah, listen, like right after his funeral too, we were like, listen, so we just came from our dad's funeral. You got to turn his mug around. It's got to face out seaward. Sorry, I'm trying to get away from the sound. I don't know if it's a mower or something. I don't know why someone's mowing at night. Or a generator. Anyway. So yeah, we went in, told the manager at the Ugly Mug, you know, you got to face our dad's mug seaward. And the guy was like, what? We're like, the mug. You know, his mug. Look up. See all the mugs? See all the names on the mugs? How do you think you got your freaking name? The mug, our dad's mug. He's got a mug up here, just like his father, so on and so forth, and it needs to be turned around. And the guy was like, oh, yeah, well, we're new owners, and they just kind of left that up as kitsch. We have a chart around here somewhere telling us, you know, where all the mugs are. We'll get around to finding them, and we'll like turn it around. And my sisters and I were like, the fuck? This is a tradition. This is a town tradition. You're messing with an old school town tradition. You're messing with our roots. You're messing with our history. You're messing with one of the main reasons why people used to frequent your bar in the first place. You know, they wanted to get their names on those mugs too. It was sort of a matter of like, you know, was your ass in a bar stool most nights out of the week, at least for an hour or so or something like that? Or did you come around every weekend? Did you grow up? Did you have your first drink at that bar, so on and so forth? Then you know your name was on the mug, on a mug. This is, you know, how we remember our roots, and this is, it just, so it's totally new owners for the ugly mug that don't have any heart or care for that tradition. I just know, like, if I had a few $1 million to spare to buy something like an old school, an old town bar that is very successful, is doing very well, and I just wanted to kind of keep running it the way it's being run, and give the owners a chance to retire in style, I would at least be like, oh my gosh, this mug tradition is amazing. Of course, we're gonna keep this mug tradition going. Like, and I would make sure that, like, the chart was in a well-seen place on the wall or something, and, like, make sure all my employees knew that this is the tradition here, and, like, don't disrespect the locals. You know, if locals don't like the business, it doesn't matter. I'm pretty sure it doesn't matter how much the tourists might like your business when they come into town for the summer or for like a couple weeks out of the year. If the locals don't like your business anymore, I don't know that's going to be good for your business. So I'm just saying, guys, like, have a care, have a little respect for shit that's just always been done in that area, and it's not like it's a bad thing. I can understand stopping things that have always been done that, like, turns out, oh, this is not the most efficient way of doing this, or this actually creates more problems, or whatever. But this is, come on, this is just turning around a mug hanging from a fucking ceiling. Guys, how hard is that? You don't even have that much respect for our town and the locals and our history. And, you know, my dad's side of the family, like, helped settle that area, and everybody knew my dad, everybody knew his dad. You know, just the fact that you can walk into the ugly mug and go, yeah, Robert Phillips has passed, and you gotta turn his mug around. They're like, huh? What are you talking about? Who's that? And what mug? And what are you talking? Like, is unbelievable. So, alright, so it's almost at 20 minutes. I'm gonna go check my laundry and get to bed. I gotta be in the barn early in the morning. We got an early ride. So, just wanna leave you guys with that. Again, doing great. I love it here. I love it so much. I'm just getting a little bit more settled in. I want to get the RV cleaned up a bit more now that I've got most of my laundry done. Like, I really need hardcore laundry, like blankets, everything, towel. Like even the blankets that I, you know, cover my couches and stuff with. Everything got washed, wiped down. Alright, so as I get settled in more and get a routine going more, I'll be pumping out more videos with more information. And I finally got my prescription today. So the old ticker's back to mostly good functioning. So, alright, have a good night.